Welcome to Milk Market Tidbit for the January Dairy Products Report that USDA released on Tuesday. This is Dr. Lawrence Jones, and I'm recording this on Thursday, March the 6th, which is just a little bit delayed, but partly I wanted to wait for the dairy export numbers for January, which I just got this morning. So again, the Dairy Products Report is our third report. It kind of wraps everything up for January. So here's all the numbers for January. So first off, we'll look at what USDA did as revisions, because that's probably sometimes most important. So they brought cheese production up and butter production up for December from where they were originally. So we'll start with cheese production. It came in at 1.21 billion pounds of cheese, very similar to where we had it on the expected, maybe a touch less than what StoneX had. But the way I always look at it is we made 100.7% of last month, but we actually made 101.9% of milk. So we made less cheese than we made milk on a percentage basis. And we can see that here in the 63.4% of the milk went into cheese by my calculation. We thought it would be, closer to 63.8, where last month it was, 64 and change. So actually less milk went into cheese. This is my most favorite graph to always look at, which is my rolling demand. The blue line is above the black line, so that says that we are making less cheese than we are having disappeared. And if we just look at the actual numbers, right now we've got a rolling demand of about 39.2 million pounds a day. And in January, we produced 39 and change on cheese. So in fact, we're making less milk. This would suggest we've got about a little under 35 days of excess cheese, and that we need about 9.4 million cows, which we're now 9.3 and change. So we're not overproducing on the cheese side at all. So I really wanted to look at exports, and one of the things we keep an eye on is the global dairy trade. So the last one was down just a little bit, and that was all whole milk powder, because cheddar and butter and skim milk powder were all up. So right now, if you look at the last spot market, which I have as the fourth, butter should be exported because we're at $3.37 versus $2.25 on the spot. Cheddar should be exported. We're at $2.23. Blocks were $1.61. And then non-fat dry milk is $1.33 on the world market, estimated by skim milk powder, and we're $1.18. So overall, we should be exporting those three things based on this global dairy trade. If we look at the prices, this would also suggest that for February cheese, which was $1.91, we should be exporting. So there's a black dot for February. So it turns out we exported a fair amount of cheese in January, and I would expect that to continue. So how much cheese did we actually export? It was up. It was 8.5% of the production. Last month was just about 8.1. I would say we typically export about 6.9, so we're exporting about 19 million extra pounds. So then the question is, how significant is Mexico on all of this? So if we take their import at 28 million pounds and divide it by the actual exports, they're 27% of the actual exports. So they're down because last month they were about 39 million, but our overall exports went up. Butter is always right around that 3.2%, and Mexico is a pretty small percentage of that total, so they're only about 3%. So tariffs on Mexico for butter would be insignificant, but would have an impact on the export of cheese, but probably not as big as the market is worried about at this point. So daily cheese production has been somewhat flat, so we've been a really long-term trend. I mean, that was going up from 2015 all the way through 2023, and then it's really kind of flattened out here. And so I would call this overall bullish, because the production of cheese came in pretty well seasonally where we expected it to. And then I look at, how much of the milk goes into cheese, and again, we were on this uptrend, and then kind of actually got split probably back here in 2023. What this is saying is that we're finding other uses for milk other than cheese, so we've really cut that. We've been pretty flat. The Italian cheeses are always the highest percentage of cheese, and they've been going up. So we've got probably more mozzarella being produced than historical, And the American cheeses are going down. Again, this would kind of suggest that we're throttling back total cheese production. And cheddar is also below the trend line. Again, if we look at this American cheese production, it's just kind of plummeted. So we were on this long-term uptrend, and this has just really been coming down. So this is down significant from that trend. And it was actually down a little bit more than we seasonally thought it would. Same thing with cheddar production. It makes up the majority of American cheese, long-term trend, been kind of plummeting. And so this is, to me, extremely bullish as it relates to cheddar cheese prices. Whey production's kind of been all over the board. And one of the things I tried to straighten this out is look at the ratio of whey to cheese. And that had kind of been going down, and it collapsed in 2023. And now we're right on the overall trend line. So I would say the amount of whey being produced relative to cheese is, right where we've been on a long-term trend. A little bit higher than we would have expected seasonally, but again, probably a lot of noise in this. The question is, how much of the fat does the butter represent? And so this has been kind of on a downward trend, but then we started kind of an upward trend in 2023. And this is just saying that we've got more cream around, and so it's got to go somewhere, and so butter is the one that kind of sucks that up. And if we look at fat percentages, this has just been crazy. You've seen this graph a couple times now, but just 446 for this January fat, that's just absolutely insane. So daily butter production has been on kind of an upward trend, and then it broke here and started going up a little bit faster. And again, to me, this just says we've got more cream, we got to make more butter. We've got to do something with it. So if we look at the ratio of butter to non-fat dry milk, this was pretty flat for quite a while. But again, same thing here. We started making more butter than non-fat dry milk. So that says that basically that butter is coming from, skimming off cream from other things than a butter powder plant. So from a butter powder plant perspective, it's always interesting to see which one is more valuable for them to chase. Right now, they're about even. Butter and non-fat dry milk have about an equal value of class 4 coming into the plant and going out of the plant. So ice cream's starting to come up this time of year, and so this has been pretty flat. Again, we kind of went down here in 2023 or so, but we're starting to trend up a little bit more. This came in probably a little stronger than we thought it would seasonally, and so we're regaining probably a little faster, and that's probably where some of that other milk went that didn't go into cheese. And then we've got our other softs, and so yogurt has been headed up. I thought it was kind of on a downward trend, and somewhere back in here I kind of declared yogurt dead, but I was absolutely wrong. This is headed up, and it's a little bit stronger than we thought it would be seasonally. And holy mackerel, look at cottage cheese. Cottage cheese has just gone through the roof. It's been going through the roof, and it just continues to go through the roof. And again, we can thank TikTok for this, for kind of promoting cottage cheese as a health food. So this week we did have the global dairy trade that I showed you, and the dairy products report, which now we put the exports in that. Yesterday we got the class and component numbers, so I will work on a milk market tidbit for the class and components yet this afternoon. All right, talk to you all later.